I start to see the car just slowing down, and I could hear gunshots. I could really hear gunshots, and I looked and I saw gunfire. I could see the fire coming out of the barrels, of like from the weapon barrel. I don't know how to say it. I could see the fire that they are shooting. The terrorists.
Hello, my name is Anne McElhenney.
And my name is Phelim McAleer, I believe.
And welcome to the Anne and Phelim Scoop.
Yes.
Hello, Phelim. Did we have a good weekend?
Did we have a good weekend? Oh, yes. Well, actually, let's look. We were second billing at an event. Second billing.
I would say the warm-up act. I would prefer to say that we were the warm-up act for David Mamet, which is pretty cool.
The genius playwright and thinker.
Yeah,
David
no pressure on us at all. Absolutely none.
Yes, we're the warm-up act for perhaps one of the greatest living writers in America, in the world. David Mamet, who wrote the screenplay for The Untouchables.
Glenn Glary, Glenn Ross.
I mean...
Extraordinary. And everything else.
Remember that play we went to see of his two set in the White House? Where he had the brilliant bit about illegal international adoption. You know, he's just. We've had lunch with him or breakfast with him a few times here in LA. He lives in LA, and you know, he's one of these guys. Before he comes into the restaurant, before he sits down, he says 3 really intelligent things. You know, and
original things.
Yes,
you know, more original than anything else.
Yes, it's just
extraordinary person. Anyway, what's on the show this week?
On the show, we are bringing our verbatim play October 7th to Bowdoin College in Maine. That's on September the 18th.
Yes.
So please,
if you know anyone in the area, if you know anyone in the area of Maine, whatever, please get the word out, or in the surrounding areas. So it's in Brunswick, quite close to Portland, Maine. So if you know people in the area, please encourage people to come out. We've got a really large theatre, the Pickard Theatre, beautiful theatre at Bowdoin. So we'd really like to fill it up.
This is part of our college campus tour. And
yes.
You know, Bowdoin did have encampments.
Yeah.
The administration has been actually wonderfully accommodating to us.
Yeah.
I think they see the need for balance, you know, 2 sides to every story. If you want to register, by the way, to get tickets,
we'll have it in the show notes.
It's October 7 Bowdoin, that's BOWDOIN.com, October7Bowdoin.com. We, as you know, October 7, the play, it's a verbatim play. So we interviewed people in Israel after October 7. We recorded some of those interviews. We filmed them.
And we just thought that maybe just before Bowdoin, that what we'd do is we'd bring you some of the original footage of the interviews with the actual people who survived that day. And today we're bringing you Asaf. So we're going to come to that in a moment.
And also on the show, we're going to replay parts of our interview with the free speech martyr, Graham Linehan. We interviewed him a while back when his book was launched. Tough Crowd. By the way, buy his book, Tough Crowd. Let's get it up the bestsellers list. As you probably know, Graham was arrested flying from Arizona to London. He was arrested at
Heathrow by 5 armed police officers.
Which is a big thing in the UK, armed police
5 of them. And by the way, you know, no insult to Graham of any kind, but, you know, he wouldn't be, I would say, the most athletic person. And I wouldn't think it would take, I would think one small police woman actually would be fine.
A traffic warden could arrest him, actually.
Yes.
Parking enforcement, you know, will have him in handcuffs before you could say, you know, tweet this. So yeah, he was arrested. We should add he's been arrested over 3 tweets. So we're going to replay that interview we did with parts of that interview, and you're going to hear how he was betrayed by the artistic establishment, by the cultural establishment, and now the ultimate. He's been arrested for his comic writing, for his free speech, and they think they are progressive. But we'll get on.
And then segueing from a very, very courageous, wonderful person like Graham Linehan to somebody who is exactly the opposite, actually. The opposite. Malcolm Gladwell, you know, the great thinker of our times, who he made
a very lucrative career warning us about social contagions. That was a big thing, you know, how we don't see the social contagions and how they can be seductive and dangerous. But he now admits he kept quiet about the biggest and the most seductive and the most dangerous
contagion of all,
trans madness. So poor little Malcolm.
Oh, he wants everybody to feel really sorry for him now. And actually, I'm kind of surprised by the response on social media. There's quite a few people I really like, actually, who are being quite conciliatory to him. Well, he won't find any happy home here. So we'll talk about Malcolm in a moment.
Poor little Malcolm.
Little Malcolm. And then we have a very fun game the whole family can play. And I'm calling it, they're teaching what to your child at a university? You'll enjoy it, and it's actually what it's a part of what we did when we were speaking at the event, at the American Freedom Alliance event over the weekend. And by the way, we love to hear your comments, and thank you for all the comments that have come in from last week. We'll read out some of those, and your comment could be read out, by the way.
So yes, on to the show. We're bringing October 7, the play, to Bowdoin College, which is in Maine. September 18th. Big theatre, please fill it. Please help us fill it. So get the link out.
And the big news that we can add to that this week is that we will be joined in Bowdoin, in Maine, by Abby Polin, who is the aunt of Hersh Goldberg-Polin, the young man who on October 7th in the attack at the Nova Festival. He was at the party with the kids, dancing and having a great time. Here's pictures of him now. You can see him there. His hand was blown off in the attack, and he was then held captive for over a year until the IDF got very, very close to actually releasing him and his friends, the 6 of them. And then the Hamas terrorists basically shot him and all these other young people in the head. His mother, we played a clip from his mother at speaking at his memorial recently. Mm-hmm. But Abby Polin had turned up completely unexpectedly, by the way, when we had the show in New York. And we've kept in touch with her, and she's just absolutely amazing. And when I mentioned that we were going to Bowdoin, she said, I'd really like to come. I'd really like to say something. So we're very much looking forward to having Abby there and hearing what she has to say, because she's a huge supporter of the play. She thinks the play needs to be on every campus in America. Yes. So we're really honoured to have her come and to talk about it.
It's an amazing honour. So Abby Polin is coming, yes. So you can come too and meet Abby Polin and hear the truth about what happened in Israel that day. We should mention, for those who don't know, October 7 is a verbatim play. So we went to Israel after October 7. We interviewed about 15 people who survived the October 7 attacks. We took their stories and boiled them down to the most dramatic parts, the most interesting parts, the truthful parts. And really, it's an amazing play. Some of the stories are connected, some of them are standalone. You don't know that some of them are connected, some of them weave in and out. Every story is different, every story is the same. Every story, there's stories are part heroism, part bereavement, part terror,
and even comedy. And the one that we're bringing you today, because I just thought in advance of going to Bowdoin, I thought we did film some of these interviews.
Yes,
and there was one interview that Phelim did with Asaf Orin, who's this lovely young fellow who was at the party, who didn't even want to go to the party actually in the first place. I thought it'd be good to actually hear him saying what happened to him. And well, I mean, it's a long interview, so we've taken some clips out of it.
I remember, so I would up to interview Asaf. He works in this beautiful kibbutz, Gan Shmuel, I think it's called.
Which I think in Hebrew, and you can all write and correct us, means the garden. And when you see the footage, you'll see why they might have called it that.
And Gan Shmuel, you can also correct my pronunciation if you like. No pride here. My Hebrew's a bit rusty. But yes, it was a very bucolic interview. It was beautiful, actually. We were sitting outside. Children were playing. Jewish children were
you can see people walking past actually in the background.
There was a little playground beside it. I think there was a school attached to the kibbutz. Asaf is this really modest,
kind of cool dude, really, really nice. And he starts this interview, we're going to start playing some clips from it. He starts this interview by kind of setting up the background to how he even got there. He really had no plans to go to that.
He makes music. He
kind of in an underground kind of grungy way.
As he says, he works in the laundry and he's a student, but his big passion is making music. And his friend Bar also makes music, and Bar had a gig there. Bar was going to be playing at the Nova Festival, and he doesn't like going to these, as he the irony of it, he doesn't like going to these festivals because they're too structured, they're too secure. I remember they have security, all that. He likes going to the underground music. So they got him a ticket at the last moment. He went reluctantly. They were there at the festival, and suddenly it turned.
And suddenly things started to change. And I mean, it's even, and again, like an awful lot of people we interviewed that went to the Nova party at the beginning, I mean, some of them, were kind of high. Some of them had been drinking, whatever. And these lights, they start seeing these lights in the sky. They're not always sure. So they're like, there's an uncertainty of what exactly has happened. Mm-hmm. And you'll hear that conversation now. Asaf explains exactly what happened. And it's like, what are we looking at? What exactly is
it part of the festival?
And then what did he say, and how did what happened next?
So because if you live down, so the Nova party was down at the Gaza, as they call it, the Gaza envelope. And you see, for a lot of the people who live close by to there, rocket attacks are just like getting up in the morning. They happen every day, all day. So they were a lot more casual about them. Asaf wasn't. Asaf realized this was something different, and he others were taking it more casually. He decided not to. So let's hear that part of the interview.
Bar grabbed me by the shoulder and he pointed me to the sky, and he told me, he asked me, is this rockets? Is this Irutim, which is like rockets bringing down other rockets? And I told him, yeah, that this is it. This is rockets. He asked me, are we staying or not? And we are not staying here for 1 minute. We're grabbing our other friend, we were 3, and we tell him, we're going, there is rockets, we pointed into the rockets, we told him, come on, we're leaving. So this is what happened. We are crawling under the gap in the fence, and we get to our car. We had I think 10 or 15 minutes gap between us and the other people that were coming out of the festival to the parking, because they got stuck in a bottleneck out there. So he had a bit of 10 minutes ahead of them. We are trying to get out of the parking. Meanwhile, there is the rockets, they're just not stopping. The barrage is just continuing, and they're also shooting mortars. So mortars don't have like a tail, like a smoke tail. Mm-hmm. They don't have a trail. They just drop. You hear a whistle and they drop. So they also fired mortars, so we could see the rockets in the sky, just filling up the sky, but we also could hear the mortars dropping around us. As we are going towards the exit with our car, there is a queue of cars to go to the exit, and something happened, and something exploded behind us in the parking. It was a huge explosion. We didn't saw what happened. We just heard it, and we saw people just leaving the cars and starting to running towards the road. Anything, just not they're running, escaping from the parking. Whenever this happened, Bar just push on the gas, and we are leaving the parking area of the party. Everyone just did with panic, just slam on the gas and started to move on the road towards Tel Aviv.
Okay, so then they tried to escape from the rockets. Asaf said this was about just after 7 o'clock, between 7 and 7:15. Rockets all around. The sunset was red, the sunrise was red, unusually red. So it looked like sunset. So it was a very freaky feeling. They were in a convoy of cars, and suddenly the convoy started to slow down. Then he realized at this stage, no one knew that Hamas had invaded Israel. They just thought it was a rocket attack. So they were slowly, as a convoy. Suddenly the shooting started, and they realized Hamas terrorists
were on the ground. Yeah, we're in Israel.
So let's play that clip.
I start to see the car just slowing down, and I could hear gunshots. I could really hear gunshots, and I looked and I saw gunfire. I could see the fire coming out of the barrels, from the weapon barrel. I don't know how to say it. I could see the fire that they are shooting.
Who?
The terrorists. I could.
You could see you didn't see the people, but you saw the guns?
Oh, I saw everyone. I could see flashes of lights coming out of the guns. I didn't see them nearly because it was a bit darker, but I could see the flashes of light coming out of their weapons. And then I shouted to my friends, they are shooting at us. It was so unreal. I didn't even know, I didn't even expected guns in Israel. I didn't even know we were just running away from rockets, you know?
Yes.
It was so unreal.
And what did your friends say? What did
So I was screaming, I screamed, they're shooting. A friend, my friend Uri, got his head down as I was saying that. He was sitting behind the driver, behind bar, and he was getting his head down. And in like, as I said it, and it was like a matter of 10 seconds before, from when I said they're shooting from where they actually shoot. So it wasn't a lot of time to say anything. Everything just went on. That's all I remember. We're getting to the end of the hill. Our lights are just lighting on a person, on a terrorist on the road. He has a Kalashnikov on his hand and is moving away to our right. And I move away to see the pickup truck with the machine gun on it, a lot of lights, like bright lights, and then it's starting to rain bullets. I don't know how to say. It sounds like a real rain on the car because it sounds like rain, but I could see the car, the guns, like the bullets exploding the plastic of the car, just going through it. So yeah, they're starting to shoot. Right in the first moment, my friend Bar said, he shouted, "I got shot." He's like, "Ay, kibalti," which means I got shot. And right at that time, my window got exploded. I got, I think, I don't know, the doctor told me they think it's a bullet grazed me here.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of shrapnel from the window. So I was a bit dazed. I was looking away, and I tried to get myself down from like the window, from the window line. And whenever that happened, I just dropped down and I told him, don't stop, like don't stop moving, don't stop. Because he told me he got shot and I told him, don't stop. And then I get hit.
Mm-hmm.
I get hit, I got a bullet going through here.
Yeah.
This is like the entry point.
Mm-hmm.
And my hand is just like spreading all over, like a lot of blood on the seat and on the dashboard.
Then Asaf realized his friend, his oldest friend, Bar, was dead. Just like that. I mean, it's amazing. He was alive.
I mean, it's an incredible, and the way he describes it, because Bar actually says, "I've been shot," and the lead up to that is kind of extraordinary.
Yeah. Let's play that clip where he describes Bar, them getting shot at and Bar being killed.
So what happened is that I didn't even saw where he got hit. I only saw him. What happened is when I got hit, I opened my eyes. I thought we were in a move. Thought we were still moving. But when I got hit, I opened my eyes and I saw we are not moving. So I didn't understand what's going on. And I looked to my left and I saw him just laying there on the driver's seat with his hand on his side, blood coming out of his mouth. He was looking like he was smiling, like he was, because everything was so resting, like so. I didn't even know what I'm seeing, but he was like that, like he was sleeping. And so I unbelted myself. I jumped on him, jump on him. I gave him some slaps. I shouted at him to see if there isn't any reaction, and he was dead cold. He was like stone. Was not there anymore. Yeah, I shouted my lungs out, just like in the movies. I didn't even know like it was possible, but I shouted no until I got out of breath.
What did you shout?
So I just said no, just low. I just shouted it for a long time from the bottom of my lungs. I couldn't even like process what I'm seeing. Everything was happening so fast. So I had like a 1 or 2 seconds of shock, like I'm just looking at him and screaming. And the thing that really never will leave my mind is the images of Bar, just
The what?
the images of Bar, just dead.
Your friend?
Yeah. I took a glance also when they took us to the evacuation. Like I took a glance to the car just to see if it's real, if he's really, really dead. And he was really, really dead. It changed the colors already. Everything was just white, like pale. And yeah, this is something that won't get out of my mind for sure. Yeah.
Who was Bar to you? I mean,
He was my best friend. Did everything together. I looked up for this life to do anything with him together. I looked up to like play together music, and there is some stuff with people that you can't do with others.
So then himself and his surviving friend,
They end up like in a ditch together, and they're trying. I mean, they don't know what to do. They're going to try to,
They
and
play
it's
dead.
like they think this is the end or whatever. So there's a whole exchange. They try to get a phone. There's a phone in the car and all of that. So this is kind of. I don't know. It's kind of extraordinary about how these two guys speak to each other, because they basically are convinced that they're not going to survive.
Yeah.
And so what do you say to your dearest friend? You realize that, your great friend Bar is dead. The other guy who's another friend, but you're thinking both of you feel like you're facing death at any moment.
Yeah.
What do you say to each other? And let's hear what they did say to each other.
So we are lying on the ditch.
What is Uri saying to you?
He's saying me that he loves me, that he thanks me also for everything that I gave him, and all of the time we were together. Me and him, we have a really, really special bond and special connection. So yeah, we just was grateful. We were saying things about our lives and how we are grateful for each other in each other's life. Really emotional stuff. We looked in each other's eyes for a bit.
Like what, for example? Like what?
It's everything is just a bit emotional, because in our bond with me and Uri, we are not like really heartful, and we are not saying things from our heart, just things spontaneous like that, like I love you or something like that. And it was a really a lot of emotion in it, because there was fear, love, peace, anything with everything about it. A lot of grace. We want to really say thank you for everything about that. If everything is just going to end now, we really wanted to be grateful about anything. We didn't want to go like stressed or in fear. And I really wanted him to know that I love him, and I wouldn't be with anybody else, like in the end of my life. So
You thought you were going to die?
surely, yeah.
So then, just to, let's remember this is a horrific time. They could see and hear people getting killed all around them. They were lying there pretending to be dead. Let's hear them, Asaf, describe how people were being murdered left, right, and center around them. Innocent people, young men and young women. So let's hear that.
As we were lying there, they are still shooting. They are still. What they would do, they were shooting the drivers, and then the car would just slipped down to the ditch, and then they came and finished the job. They took everyone out from the cars, shot them right on the spot, and move on. Like a lot of cars like that. So we are lying there, and we really can't move.
Could you see them do this?
Yeah, we saw them on their pickup trucks because the way I was lying, I could lift my head a bit and see the road. And everyone on the road, they just got him out on the road, lying him down and shot him in the head. They took, we heard they took a girl, taking a girl and just shooting her boyfriend in the head. You can feel, you know how it is when someone is doing a confirmed kill, because the bullet is not flying in range. You can hear it like hitting the ground as like in the second that they pull the trigger. So you know they are shooting at the ground, and there is no reason to shoot just at the ground if you don't want to confirm kill or something, to shoot someone in the head. So we are just hearing this, and we see them moving with their pickup trucks and their motorcycles.
So the bullets were different, the sound was different?
Yeah, we can hear them like moving and coming closer to us. It was just like, in my mind, it's like a matter of like, when is my turn to get this, like, it's my turn that everything will end.
So you noticed that the bullets changed sound?
Yeah, because you can hear when someone is shooting toward the distance, and then it hits something, or you can hear the whistle of the gunshot going through your ear. But when you can hear it like in a sequence, they move like a couple of steps, 2 shots, couple of steps, 2 shots, and like tuck tuck, and it's on the ground. You can hear the gravel just.
So then you're waiting for your turn?
Yeah, we are just playing that. Uri is saying Shema Israel, which is a prayer.
What's the prayer?
Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad, I think. Which is, I think it's a prayer for help, and I think it's like for if you want God to save you.
Then I think things are kind of dying down. There's still shooting going on, and they're hiding beside the car, and they think we should call for help. And where's the phone? The phone was in the car, so they start searching around the car. They get shot at as they're searching around the car. They realize, of course, they're lying on their phone in the car. The phone isn't in the car. But this is a lesson from Israel, and it's a lesson, as you know, Anne, from the Pacific Palisades, from everywhere. In these emergencies,
no one's coming.
You are on your own, right? You are on your own. I don't know why. Maybe there is a big debate in Israel at the moment, why Israel hasn't a huge debate about relaxing gun laws.
Yeah, it was one of the most amazing things about it, that people were so defenseless
Yes.
in this situation. If a few people had a gun, it certainly would have helped,
Well,
and those people that we interviewed who did have a gun, as in the police officer that we met in Off-Broadway, he did a lot of good with that gun.
he had a gun with 9 bullets, a pistol with 9 bullets. He killed 2 terrorists, rescued an IDF soldier and a family. And a rabbi, by the way. Remember the rabbi as well. So, I mean, I remember speaking to some people, and they said, one of the biggest problems, France, one of the biggest problems of the Israeli army is they all were trained in West Point. So they were trained, and they were infected with American progressivism, and anyone who's trained in West Point came back to Israel and was immediately promoted because they were trained in West Point and trained in the American system. And there's a progressivism in Israel, and I suppose the anti-gun thing is part of that. Israel. So every kibbutz, every small town, small village has a security committee. It's part of your job, a part of your duties. If you live there, you have to do security. But you patrol with a gun, and then after your patrol, you return the gun to the armory. And of course, the Palestinians knew where the armory was. When the attack started, all the young men ran to the armory, and they had snipers outside the armory and picked them off one by one. Imagine if the security teams had guns in their houses. It would have been a completely different, because they were the people of Israel were slaughtered in their homes because there was no guns in the homes. So, as I say, this is them phoning for help, the help that will not arrive. But also, they had the phone, and Asaf decides, this is what young men do, that he needs to phone a girl who he's always loved and has never told her that he loves her. And it's almost comedic. It is comedic, actually, the exchange between the two of them. As the world is collapsing around them, he thinks of girls. And love, I suppose, to be fair to him. So
he mentions love again, and we're going to come to that clip at the end. But
yes.
but let's hear this, because it's very sweet.
Yes.
So after we had like this emotional break between us, we snapped out of it like in a second towards focusing towards how we getting out of here. Like, what are we doing? What do we need? And Uri says we need a phone to start calling people. We don't find my phone. My phone is in the car. He says his phone is also in the car. I tell him I can move. I can do anything. My hand, I don't want to move because I think it will just drop off. I don't really know the seriousness of my injury. I just feel like I don't feel anything because my nerves got ripped, so I can't even like do this.
Grab anything.
Yeah. So. He tried to get up to the car and search for the phone. He doesn't find it. Meanwhile, there is a lot of gunfire around. They're still shooting. Everything is still chaos. So whenever he got to the car, they were still shooting at the car. They saw someone move. They're shooting towards there. He coming back from the car and he's saying, I don't have the phone, I didn't find it. Apparently what happened that he dropped it as he was going through the ditch, and the first time he dropped it and I laid on it and didn't even noticed. So it was right here beneath my chest. And as I lift off my chest to say no, something like that, he saw the phone. He was like, all right. Here's a phone. We took the phone and we started calling rescue. Police didn't answer, so we called ambulance. They're saying they are not coming. They tried to get us calm and just talk to us, but we know they're not going to come. It's like they say they had a lot of calls all over the area, and we are right in the center of it. So they're not going to send ambulance to there. And so next things we do is Uri calling his family, telling them the whole situation, that Bar is dead, I got shot, and he didn't say anything about himself. He just said, I'm coming home, just pray for me. Pray for himself. He actually did get shot, Uri, by a 9mm round. I don't know how that happened, because I got the Kalashnikov one, the AKs. He got shot right here on the right hand, and it came in and came out, and just nothing happened. Just like soothed the wound after that from the heat or something. Nothing happened to him, so he didn't feel anything like an injury or something. So everything that he says on the phone, he says like that Bar is dead, I got shot at, and he survived and he's coming home. Mm-hmm. But we don't know anything yet. So he's just saying it so there will be we'll pray for him. After he finishes his call with his family, he asked me if I want to call for someone. the first person I wanted to call was some girl, and he said it wasn't a good idea. Uri said it wasn't a good idea. So we passed it.
Who's the girl?
She's a girl. It's, in time, I will tell anything about her. She's the love of my life. And she really, really saved me that day.
And does she know that she's the love of your life?
Sure, yeah.
She's your girlfriend?
No.
No. Ah.
That's all right.
Okay. Okay.
No, she knows everything, and she was really meaningful stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yuri
this was an
Yuri
option
says-
that we passed by on, and
Yuri says this is not a good time to call.
he thought that if I will tell her that I love her, I will go from this world like with no regrets, and he will just say like, no, you're gonna leave me if you say to her anything you want, then like you are kind of like putting a death on yourself, that you're like leaving this world. You did anything you want, and you don't need to like survive. So he didn't want to do that. I also, as he was dialing, and tell him don't do that.
He's a smart man.
Yeah, surely.
Well, I don't know if it was the right decision or not, but
It's all right. It was the best decision. That's for sure.
So the next clip, basically they were rescued by the Israeli army. Oh, actually, it was kind of a funny incident. I don't think it's in this, but where his friend, he says his friend has browner skin, and so kind of looks Arabic. And when the Israeli soldiers come up, they think they might be Hamas terrorists.
So they say something in Hebrew, say something in
Hebrew. Say the alphabet. And the guy looks at him and goes, alphabet.
And as he says, as Asaf said, it's about the most Israeliest thing you can imagine.
Yes.
And people who are from Israel apparently would get that, but very funny.
So yeah, so that then he sees the carnage of Israel. He doesn't recognize the Israel that he's been driven through after they were rescued.
I could see everything. I could see the road was filled with bodies. A lot of cars exploded. Everything was like, I don't know, like a war movie. You know, it wasn't even look like Israel. It looked like I don't know. It took him out of the movies. It was so surreal. And yeah, there's some stuff that for sure I couldn't forget about what I've seen, but scenes. It just actually just simple stuff. Just thing that coming up to my mind is like one girl actually they shot her, so they shot her right next to the car. They didn't took her, but all the girls we heard they took them back to Gaza. And this was like something that I saw, and I saw a blonde girl just on the concrete, just a pool of blood underneath her. Yeah, it was a mysterious to me. I thought they were gonna take all the girls, but no, they just were shooting blindlessly on everyone. There was so much body on the road. It was like
so much blood.
So much blood and bodies. Everything was like, I never seen so much people dead like that in one place.
I think at the end, I think the last thing that we should end here with is, how is he processing this? What has it made him change his mind about the world? What is his big takeout? What does he focus on now? And it's actually kind of gorgeous, and I think it's worth hearing. So let's go to that now. We'll finish with that, actually.
Yeah, just love your friends as much as you can. You have something to tell them, just tell them. Don't wait, because you really, really never know. And just love yourself and everybody else. Believe in the love, believe in your life. It's really, really worth it.
So that is just one character in October 7, the play.
We will be in Bowdoin on September 18th. Abby Polin will be there, Hersh Goldberg's aunt. Please come and join us, and please let people know.
So go to October 7 Bowdoin, BOWDOIN.com. That's October7Bowdoin.com to register for tickets. So So Graham Linehan,
Graham Linehan, who is, previously was not very, very well known, we'll say, in the United States.
Yes.
But a huge comedic genius in the British Isles, in the UK particularly. He's the guy who created Father Ted. That was what he started with, but he's done a lot of other things since then. But
he created the IT Crowd.
Just incredibly brilliant. But then the trans craze hit, and he thought people need to speak up about this. Well, people need to protect women.
We should put it in context. He was a big liberal too.
Yeah.
It's very funny. Ann Coulter supported him during the week, and then Ann Coulter went on Twitter to look for him and found out he'd blocked Ann Coulter.
In the past.
I assume it's a historic block. Back when he was a liberal.
Yes.
And he just looked at this issue and thought, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
Men shouldn't be playing in women's sports.
Yeah.
Kids shouldn't be medicalized. Kids shouldn't be mutilated and castrated. Doesn't...
Yes, boys shouldn't be changing their clothes in girls' changing rooms.
Yes.
It seems fairly obvious stuff, by the way, and it seemed very obvious to him, and he presumed that everyone would be agreeing with him. It's not exactly what happened, unfortunately.
So he had a book out, Tough Crowd. It's a memoir. We interviewed him for that. And, actually, we should say why he was arrested. Arrested for 3 tweets.
Yeah, he wrote 3 tweets, and we're going to come to those 3 tweets because actually we're going to come to the 3 tweets. But basically, he got arrested by 5 armed Metropolitan Police officers who came to the airport. So the whole thing was incredibly well organized, by the way. His flight landed from, he came from Arizona. He's moved to Arizona because of all this stuff and the lack of free speech in the United Kingdom. So he's living in Arizona now. And he flies in, actually, for a court case also connected with the trans thing, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But he gets arrested at the airport, and he gets so fussed, by the way, that he has like a kind of a medical emergency. Basically, his blood pressure goes off the charts, and they actually had to bring him to a hospital.
Yes. Can I just say, there was absolutely no need to arrest him at the airport.
No.
And of course people say, well, all police officers at airports are armed now. The British police are not armed. He was going to a court case. And by the way, one of the things about going into court is you're searched and you have no weapons on you. So there's no need for the police to be on high alert.
Yeah.
And by the way, coming off a plane, why do you need 5 officers?
That's right. Well, also, you're not armed because it's like the safest place of all because you're definitely not armed. So, as I said, a small little police officer woman could have come and said to him, "Can you come and have a chat with us?" But also, just picking him up off the plane, it's like I think it's a little bit over the top. But let's listen to this. This is part of the interview that we did with him before when we were talking to him about the about the book.
Yes.
One thing I really like about this, I really like the point he makes about Shakespeare. Very, very interesting. Let's have a listen to that.
Well, he talks also about how he was effectively abandoned by his colleagues.
Yeah. I mean, that's really, huge betrayal.
And they sold out too, actually. Not just, they just didn't betray him, they sold out. So let's play that clip and hear how he initially came to understand the trans madness and the dangers of it.
There were some arguments that when I first heard them, they sounded, and this is why they used them, they had a kind of authentic feel to them. Like I remember one early argument that I briefly fell for, was when they said, oh, trans people have always existed. They're just getting brave now and coming out of the closet. And, that makes sense for about 5 seconds. Until, it's like, here's my biggest argument against that. If trans people have existed throughout history, then Shakespeare would have noticed, because he noticed everything else about humanity.
Yes.
So the fact that there's an entire cohort of humanity that he didn't mention is a sure sign that that's a nonsense argument. But unfortunately, I don't think anyone fell for the arguments for long. But what did happen, and this is where I'm so disappointed by my friends and colleagues, they just didn't think it was important enough to get involved. And so women, I remember telling 2 colleagues on the Father Ted musical that women were losing their sports. And the reaction was just kind of sniggering, it was just seen as beneath, their something that was just not even worth considering. Yeah. And these are 2 people who'd be watching every World Cup. But if something happens to the World Cup to make it unfair, they'd be all over it. But it happens to women, it's just something to snigger about. you know. And the other thing I noticed was that a lot of my friends, the men, were very. It seemed to me, I figured out pretty quickly that they were outsourcing their opinion on the issue to their wives, because they would say, I heard from multiple people, my wife says it's not a problem. And this was always people who were extremely comfortable, and their wives will never need shelter or a rape crisis center, God willing, or any other kind of thing that some of the what you might call the forgotten have to deal with.
Yes.
Yeah. And they were all kind of behaving like this, and I was in touch with rape crisis victims who couldn't attend rape crisis services or rape crisis service in Scotland because of the atmosphere up there, because the fact that the rape crisis Edinburgh, I think it is run by a trans-identified male who did not tell them in the interview that he was a man. I was hearing stories like that. I was hearing stories like a man who was telling me that his daughter was disappearing before his eyes because she was taking testosterone, and he couldn't stop her, even though he knew the effects on her health would be irreparable. Mm-hmm. I met a therapist who said that kids were coming into her distraught because they had been told that J.K. Rowling wanted to kill them. And she said, I can't tell them it's not true because they might report me to my accreditation body.
Not only does he talk the talk, Graham Linehan, he walks the walk. And by the way,
And by the way, this is an incredibly hard walk. He's lost his marriage. He's lost the beautiful home he lived in. He had this incredible life, like beloved character, and became.
He lost his profession too.
Oh yeah, became this kind of pariah among those people. By the way, among those people, he is a huge hero. By the way, to so many others. But it's interesting. One of the things that happened, and again, just to say how much of a guy of a courageous guy he is, and not a sellout. They tried to bribe him. So after Father Ted, as again, it was this huge success
in the 90s.
We can't show a clip from it because they'll go after us for copyright. But honestly, go online, go on YouTube, and look up Father Ted. You'll get episodes. It's just hysterical.
Can I just put it in context? It was a huge hit in the UK. It was probably the number one comedy show in the UK in the 90s. And of course, there's a massive wave of 90s nostalgia now, right?
Oh, yeah,
it was 80s.
massive.
Well, Oasis are selling out left, right, and centre, and that is people like us who remembered Oasis in the day, and then bringing their children, and it's just this massive wave of 90s nostalgia. You can see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So they did Father Ted the musical. And Graham
he worked, and he basically, poured his whole heart and soul into it. And he was involved in every aspect of it, including the music.
For 2 or 3 years.
For 2 or 3 years, came to a brilliant place. Then this whole thing happened about the trans, and he was just expressing his opinion, which is what actually pretty much every ordinary person on the planet Earth who has common sense agrees with. And they basically took it off him. Here's what they said to him. They basically said, we'll go ahead with the Father Ted musical. We'll put it on on the West End in London, very, very prestigious. But only if we take your name off it. The guy who created it, the guy whose idea it was, we'll take your name off it. And by the way, just to make up for that, we're going to give you £200,000. Not an inconsiderable amount of money. And guess what he said you could do with the £200,000? Yes. Well, we know what
actually, very much what the Northern Ireland fans
yes.
will tell.
Yes, that's another story. Okay, that's another.
We'll come to that at the end.
Let's listen to Graham tell the story about that.
They offered me £200,000 to walk away from it. Yeah, and I told them in the end I just felt that the kids being damaged by this ideology, and the women and men losing their livelihoods because of this ideology it was more important to try and draw attention to that and to stick to my principles. I've not done anything wrong, beyond sometimes letting my frustration getting the better of me and getting angry in exchanges, usually with people who are sending me dogs abuse, and I refuse to behave as if I've done anything wrong. And my unfortunate mistake that I made was betting on my friends, was thinking that my friends would back me up, but none of them have had the courage to do so.
So what I think is really great, actually, in a way, it's kind of funny how this has backfired in so many ways to these these trans lunatics. It's actually backfired because what's happened, two things have happened. Graham Linehan now is one of possibly the most famous people on the planet Earth. Like everyone, like people who hadn't heard of him, everyone's heard of him now. And the second thing that it's done is it's put free speech into the spotlight. Now free speech is even in a better place than it was. If you remember, like was it last year or a few months ago when J.D. Vance went to Europe, spoke out about the terrible free speech infringements in Europe and particularly in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
And there was a kind of a, poo, whatever.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
I'll tell you one thing, there's no one laughing at J.D. Vance now because exactly what he said is exactly what happened. But what I really wanted to bring everyone to, which I thought this was kind of funny, and it's a bit of a segue, but Baroness Emma Nicholson, who we happen to know quite well, I would say, to be honest with you, she's a good friend of ours.
Yes.
We met her back in the day when we were working as journalists in Romania and covering the child story, the international adoption story, where she was a hero, and we were reporting on that.
So Baroness Emma Nicholson she's in
the House of Lords.
In the House of Lords, but she has a massive political career. She worked in the Thatcher government. Now she'd been known as a bit of a wet. She wouldn't be a full Thatcherite, and in the end, defected from the Conservative Party in the 90s. You remember we met her in Romania, and I said, "So have you always been in politics?" And now Baroness Nicholson, we should explain, is deaf.
Yes, so she has a very specific way of speaking. Obviously, she has that beautiful, very educated way of speaking, but she also is deaf, so there's a slight sense. But I am actually quickly. Oh, I know the thing you're going to say. So.
Well, no, I mean she has political service in her family going back to her grandfather, great grandfather. I think her grandfather, when they introduced paying MPs, MPs did it voluntarily. Like whenever they introduced it,
he famously said
they're paying MPs now. That's the end of public service.
That's the end of public service. Anyway, so she's got involved in this story in a fantastic way. She has written to the head of the Metropolitan Police, who is Sir Mark Rowley. And I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try and do this in the voice of Baroness Emma Nicholson. Dear Sir Mark, I have read your thoughtful and illuminating statement on the arrest of comedy writer Graham Linehan by 5 armed officers on the grounds that his tweets might incite violence. I abhor the attempt to scapegoat Parliament for the witless actions of your officers. I fear no amount of legislation could compensate for their apparent inability to exercise intelligent judgment. You say officers have no choice but to record such incidents as crimes when they're reported. Then they are obliged to follow all lines of inquiry and take action as appropriate. Regrettably, Sir Mark, this is poppycock.
Poppycock?
Poppycock.
What is poppycock?
One of the cited tweets ended with, punch them in the balls.
That's a direct quote.
Another ended with, f*** them. Are they both to be taken literally as incitements to violence? Do you or your officers sincerely contend that f*** them might be meant to cause anyone to engage in sexual intercourse, whether or not consensually? Do your colleagues require Parliament to legislate on the meaning of f*** them, and whether or not it should be taken literally? In the meantime, must all reported incidents be recorded as if a crime anyone recognises abused their brain? I would hope your answer is obviously not, but I cannot be confident. If your officers can identify when the phrase is not meant literally, surely they ought to be able to use discretion with the other and dismiss the complaint. On this occasion, the incidents were reported by a former police constable, Lindsay Watson, a transgender male, dismissed for gross misconduct by the Leicestershire Police. He has waged a campaign of harassment against people with the legally protected belief that sex means man and woman. Your colleagues have allowed themselves to be exploited as tools in their continuing and orchestrated campaign. Watson has form. He has taken legal action against 3 police officers,
3 police forces.
3 police forces, the British Transport Police Federation, the Police Appeals Tribunal, the Ministry for Defence, and sundry individuals who do not comply with his demands. Were your colleagues wary of being added to the list? Were they simply ignorant? Or are they, as you assert, mere automatons, impelled to act unthinkingly once their buttons are pushed? Whatever the case, no depth of detail in a policing with common sense bill will solve the problem. Instead of blaming Parliament for the inability of your officers to think for themselves intelligently, perhaps you might firmly tell them, please, to stop being stupid. Yours sincerely, Baroness Nicholson of Winterbourne. Isn't she just fabulous?
Winterbourne is like something out of Narnia.
I know, it's like, and it's real. And by the way, she's magnificent. One of these days, actually, we should get in touch with her and ask her to read that herself, because actually she'll do an obviously much better job than I did. But she's magnificent. And this, by the way, is a nice segue, by the way, into our next piece.
Courage. By the way, someone like
the exact opposite. So this is basically, we're going to go and talk about Malcolm Gladwell now, who is the exact opposite of Graham Linehan.
But by the way, Baroness Nicholson could have an easy life now.
Yes.
Floating around the House of Lords. She chose not to.
No. She's just great.
We recently re-established contact with her after a while. And, to me, I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't surprised, but I was glad to see that she had...
Oh, yeah, she hasn't. Yeah.
That she hasn't lost that common sense that she had in Romania.
No, she's great.
And it's very compelling common sense. The truth is very compelling. So talking of people who won't tell the truth, people who won't state the obvious. So Malcolm Gladwell,
who is basically famous for being a thinker.
Yes.
He's literally famous for being a better thinker than the rest of us.
But also, he's also famous, and I've been trying to find words to how to describe this. He takes things that happen in society that you might think are random, and
he sees a pattern.
He sees patterns, and he actually sees social contagions. He did a book called The Tipping Point, how things go crazy, how things go
Only
over
2.5 million people bought the book.
I would say more. Everyone had it, but it's Blink, Outliers. He wrote a book called Outliers. Right? This is how he made his money. He's a massive industry, the Malcolm Gladwell.
He has sold 23 million copies of his books. And if you want to get him to speak at your event because of his brilliant mind, it's only going to cost you $350,000. But this brilliant mind, this incredible intellect, this guy who sees the patterns, who sees the things that none of the rest of us see,
and is not afraid to talk about it.
And is not afraid. Oh, yeah. He's so interesting. He's so wildly interesting. So he's so interesting that he's after giving an interview where he's basically said, yeah, I was a bit scared to say anything about the trans thing.
Yes. So
it's kind of, by the way, and I've seen people online, quite a lot of commentators being quite sympathetic and saying, oh, good for him.
Actually, let's just play the tape now of him admitting that he was cowed.
Yes.
The reason I'm ashamed of my performance at that panel, because I share your position 100%. And I was cowed. The idea of saying anything on this issue.
That's fine, Malcolm. And people, as you say, some people have been, welcoming him into the fold. But the problem is, and I've met them in London, and Graham Linehan is one of them. Yeah. Nobody knew who Graham Linehan was. He was
living a fabulous life. I mean, his life would have been gorgeous.
They destroyed his life.
Yeah, they've taken away the thing that he loved to do.
They destroyed his passion. They took away his ability.
Yeah, they've impoverished him, by the way.
And they impoverished him. He says it broke up his marriage.
Yeah.
So there was a...
Yeah, his wife, I mean, I think one of the things, I've heard him say this, that basically his wife couldn't handle the economic uncertainty because he was basically, they lost their house, all that stuff.
But also their address was published online. They were coming for their wife, wife and kids. And they were these brave souls.
And in the midst of that, then you have like Malcolm Gladwell, famous for being a famous thinker. And here, and there you have him admit, I was a bit scared. I was a bit cowed.
Well, I want to focus.
A bit of, you know what he was? He was a bit of, he was a coward. That's, he wasn't cowed. He was a coward because he knew, but he sat there. And this is a guy who, is unbelievably powerful. He's incredibly wealthy. Like, he's made the money. Like, he has money forever. And when it matters, he says nothing.
He said, when I did the trans play in London, I met the people from the LGB Alliance. These are people who some of them had ended their career, some of them were retired. Some of them, as one of the people said, I've had a number of successful careers. I didn't need this hassle.
Yes.
But I just felt I couldn't. The bravery of these people.
Yeah.
Because they had wonderful, you can imagine, I think one of the women, she she wrote some of the best sitcoms and dramas of the 80s and 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah, she could be just living her life. And
she set up this company, and it was the first company that was TV production company that was publicly listed on the stock market. All this, you know, and
she didn't need this.
She said,
but she didn't need this, but she was courageous.
Malcolm Gladwell, it's very interesting. Why is he saying this now? He's saying this now because it's getting,
tide has turned.
It's getting safe.
Yeah.
Safer.
Yeah, the tide has turned. Yeah. If Kamala Harris had become the president of the United States, he wouldn't have said it.
Yes. So Trump has allowed him, he wouldn't like to admit that, Trump has allowed him to say that because Trump
he'd hate that. Yeah,
has declared, and now people realize this is an 80-20 issue, as they call it, for the Democrats. And it's safe now, Malcolm, to come out of your closet and say this.
That's not what courageous people do.
No.
So that allows me to segue beautifully into our dear friend, the child psychiatrist, Dr. Miriam Grossman, who has been calling out this trans craziness for about 20 years. She was one of the very first people on this, and she is brilliant. And she gave testimony to, funny enough, it was the Committee on Energy and Commerce 2 years ago. The video is on YouTube. It's been watched by only 10 million people so far. But to contrast from, and to get away from how awful Malcolm Gladwell is, it's so nice to look in the face of what courage really looks like. And by the way, being courageous in the medical profession on this issue is actually being incredibly courageous. So let's have a listen to that. I just think it's really great. And what I would say to people about this clip is it's available online. You can find it very easily. I would ask, I think a great piece of advice I could give people is anyone who knows anyone who's caught up in this nightmare, absolute nightmare situation, this is a very clear and concise summary of the truth about trans. Let's listen to Dr. Grossman.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you. My name is Miriam Grossman. I am a board-certified child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist, author, and senior fellow at Do No Harm. I have been taking care of patients for 45 years. I'm going to use my time to respond to Dr. McNamara. First, I'm struck by her use of the phrase, sex assigned at birth. Sex is not assigned at birth. Sex is established at conception, and it's recognized at birth, if not earlier. Dr. McNamara claims that her views are science-based, but to claim that sex is assigned at birth is without any scientific basis whatsoever. Its language misleads people, especially children, into thinking that male and female are arbitrary designations and can change. That is simply not true. Dr. McNamara claims that social and medical interventions are the only evidence-based treatment and that scientific evidence shows it is life-saving. Without it, she's warning us, kids will commit suicide. Well, a growing number of countries have effectively banned the care to which she's referring. And thank God there's been no wave of suicides or other mental health catastrophes. 3 years ago, Finland placed strict limitations on medical interventions for minors. Sweden did the same thing after a 14-year-old girl was found to have osteoporosis and spinal fractures from puberty blockers. An investigation concluded, quote, the risks of anti-puberty and hormone treatment for those under 18 currently outweigh the possible benefits. The UK conducted a review and called the evidence very low. They've also placed severe restrictions on the care that Dr. McNamara calls life-saving. Norway also analyzed the data and has made similar changes in policy. The National Academy of Medicine in France warned, quote, great medical caution must be taken in children and adolescents given the vulnerability of this population and the many undesirable, even serious complications the therapies cause. Doctors in New Zealand and Australia have published similar statements. Is Dr. McNamara suggesting that all these countries are rejecting evidence-based treatment and placing their kids at risk of suicide? Regarding that point of view, Finland's gender expert, Dr. Rita Kaltiela, said, quote, it's purposeful disinformation, the spreading of which is irresponsible. All 7 countries, and Florida too, of course, concluded that kids don't need their development interrupted, the girls don't need their periods stopped and their voices lowered, and the boys don't need to grow breasts. What they need is psychotherapy. I have other objections to Dr. McNamara's testimony. She insists that her position, only hers, represents standard medical care. What she doesn't want you to know is that there is no standard. There's a debate. There's a fierce debate. And on the side opposite her stand such prominent figures as Stephen Levine, Kenneth Zucker, Paul McHugh, and James Cantor, among others. These doctors are giants in the field. They have been treating transgender patients and gathering data and publishing papers about them, and I mean no disrespect here, but since before Dr. McNamara was born. The point is that those veteran clinicians and others who have wisdom and experience are ignored because they disagree with the current narrative. They're against medical interventions for the same reason those 7 countries are. There is no evidence of long-term benefit, but there is evidence of harm. I'll end by quoting Jamie Reed, the courageous whistleblower from the Children's Gender Clinic in St. Louis. I believe that that hospital receives the medical education funding that we're discussing today. She said that doctors at that clinic said, "We are building the plane while we are flying it." We are building the plane while we are flying it. That's how they described the treatment at their gender clinic. Our precious tax dollars should not support such a perilous experiment. Thank you.
An amazing woman.
Yeah.
That's courage.
That's courage.
You know, not easy. So as we were saying at the beginning, we were speaking before the Honourable David Mamet at the weekend.
The great David Mamet.
At the American Freedom Alliance.
No pressure speaking before David Mamet.
The venue was the American Freedom Alliance Gala Dinner, and Mamet was the key speaker. And we decided to do a little competition. We decided to name courses that were being taught at American universities. We threw in a couple of fake ones.
Well, what we did was we said to people, let's have a game. Because there was a lot of speakers on the night and we thought, let's play a game. So the game we're going to play is, so I kind of introduced it by saying, for anyone out there who can't understand Queers for Palestine, I'm going to break down Queers for Palestine for you, because obviously it's complete lunacy to be a queer for Palestine, given what would happen to queers in Palestine. So Dr. Grossman, funny enough, actually wrote a book called You're Teaching My Child What? So I sort of stole that title and it made me think about they're teaching my child in university what. So you can play this game at home as well. So we're going to read out the name of some of the courses that are being taught in universities in America, and you decide, and you can start going through them, which ones are real and which ones are not. So the very first one that we want to look at is Rednecks, Queers and Country Music at the University of Michigan. Is that real? Yes.
It is real. And then number 2, Queering God, Feminist and Queer Theology at Swarthmore College.
True or false?
Queering God.
It's true.
Okay.
Embroidered Eco Rage, Stitching Feminist Fury against fossil fuels at Berkeley.
We made that one up.
We made that one up. I like that one though. And can I just say what we actually described the course. In a world burning from fossil fuel dependency, how can we stitch together resistance? Embroidered Eco Rage explores the fusion of ecofeminism, textiles, activism and anti-capitalist fury. Number 4, Philip.
I'd study that.
Number 4, Philip.
Number 4, How to Steal. This field, and that's where Eugene Lang College, in the Sociology Department, fall 2025, the field-based seminar explores the politics, ethics and aesthetics of theft in a world where accumulation is sacred, dispossession is routine, and the line between private property and public good is drawn in blood. When you read this out, I actually thought this was fake. It's real though, isn't it?
This one's real.
I mean, I'm genuinely gobsmacked that one's real. Then Decolonizing STEM.
I love this one. Examine STEM through decolonization and intersectionality, including Palestine as an example of indigenous science suppression. That one's real.
That one to me actually was shocking. That was real too. What indigenous science came out of Palestine? How to make rockets? actually.
Yeah, that's about it.
How to make rockets from car bonnets.
Okay, I'm moving on to the next one. Film 3000, porn, Westminster College in Utah. Yes or no?
Well, you have to watch hardcore porn.
Hardcore pornography is as American as apple pie, apparently, and that is true. That is another course that they had. The next one I want to look at is Unsettling Whiteness. Northwestern University, Historical, Political and Cultural Formation of Whiteness in Western Modernity, focusing on how it perpetuates privilege in contemporary culture. That's true.
And then the last one, we'll do the last one. Stitch and Bitch, Eco-Feminist Rants from the Oregon State University.
True or false?
We made that one up.
We made that one up. We're very proud of that one.
Yes. Okay, listen, we love your comments and thank you for sending them. Let's go through some of the comments. YouTube is where we read a lot of them, or on Apple Podcasts. We try and respond to them all. We definitely read them all. So there's Edward Alvarez 4066. He's talking about the interview we did with Zach Asplin, who's bringing the play to Bowdoin. And he says, and Zach is English. He says, how sad. Zach saying he came to the US looking for the First Amendment vibes and found the exact opposite at an elite college.
But I like what Paul Smith said, by the way. I'm just reading this for the first time. Paul Smith said, Pickard Theatre, 7:30, September 18th, doors at 7. Free? Yeah. I live in Boston, but I'm thinking of making the drive. Are you capping registrations?
No.
We are not capping registrations, and we have 700 spots. I think so far just about 200 people have bought tickets, and they're bought tickets. They're free.
Yeah, free.
So please do register online, and we'll put the link in the show notes.
But I want to say Zach did find, free speech was not what he thought it was. But things are changing. October 7 is in Bowdoin College now.
Yes. Yes.
The world.
And it was in Princeton and it was in UCLA.
So these colleges are coming around and welcoming us in and providing us with security and providing us with facilities. So
another one of the comments, just talking up again, a lot of people I think are excited about Bowdoin. Somebody else wrote, will there be a Q&A after? I want to hear how the actors carry this emotionally. That's interesting. And funny enough, that came up a lot in the Q&As in New York. People said to people, how did it feel for you to be, occupying the part of somebody who has gone through the worst possible thing you can imagine? Anything else that you want to say there, Phil?
No, I think, listen, we've got loads of comments here, but unfortunately, we're out of time. So we will see you next week. I will be in New York at the rehearsals. People are rehearsing. The actors are rehearsing.
So I think we're going to be talking to quite a few of the actors next week. And also, I think maybe we'll try and maybe talk to Abby Polin in advance of Bowdoin and hear what she has to say.
Yeah.
But again, please, we are a 501c3. We are dependent on your support. Please give what you can, anytime you can, to the unreportedstoriesociety.com. And anyone who can come to Bowdoin, please come September the 18th. But buy your tickets now for free. And the link will be in the show notes. But the link is, Phelim?
October 7, Bowdoin.com. That's October 7, the digit 7, October 7, Bowdoin, BOWDOIN.com. Okay. See you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.